Hey everyone, Jessie here again with my little faithful companion Winnie. Today Winnie has a little hat on that makes her look like a little jellyfish, and the hat is a jellyfish, and she wanted to participate to help today because we're going to talk about wildlife, living with wildlife. And the jellyfish is because one of the wildlife we're going to talk about are sea turtles. And sea turtles love jellyfish. So why it's important to live with wildlife and coexist with wildlife is because they all have a purpose and they do great things for us. Like the sea turtle, Winnie, good girl. The sea turtle eating jellyfish. How many of you like to swim in the ocean, right? Who wants to encounter a jellyfish, right? So sea turtles are great because they eat jellyfish, and so protecting sea turtles in the ocean is really good because they'll eat the jellyfish that we don't want to encounter when we're swimming in the ocean. So it's very cool. So other wildlife that you may encounter are raccoons. Is that a raccoon, Winnie? Oh, it's a little baby raccoon. And then bears, right? May encounter a bear. And how many of you like snakes? So Winnie says, ooh, is that a toy for me? No, Winnie, that's not a toy for you. Snakes, right? All of these animals may be things that we are afraid of or have fear of, but they all serve a purpose. And we have to learn to live with them so we can live in harmony together. Because they all do things in the wild to help us in the planet. Just so snakes, for one, eat rodents and things like bugs and other things that we maybe don't want to have around. And good snakes, right, the non-poisonous snakes, are keep the bad snakes away or the poisonous snakes away. And so poisonous snakes, they have a purpose too. So all things have a purpose, and we need to learn to live with them. And so living with wildlife is the topic. And so one thing we can do, so feeding our pets like Winnie indoors is important because we don't want to attract wildlife like bears or raccoons or possums. When you feed outdoors, you can attract these animals. So if you have community cats, or for us, we have barn cats, and so we find ways to keep our food stations where wildlife can't get them, or we accept that the wildlife will eat that cat food and we learn to live with them. And we do have possums. I'm sure we have raccoons. I've never seen any, but we definitely have possums and other things that come and eat the cat food. But you can pick your cat food up at night and put that away to not attract wildlife, and try to feed them indoors to keep wildlife away. You can also secure your trash cans. So securing your trash can with a lid will avoid having bears or raccoons get in the trash, which they're looking for food and foraging. You never want to feed wildlife, so you never want to deliberately feed wildlife. So we live in Florida. If you have alligators, you don't want to feed them. You don't want to deliberately feed a black bear, deliberately feed a raccoon. It desensitizes them and they lose their fear of humans, and then they associate human beings with food, and that's when we encounter problems with wildlife and humans. So never feed wildlife deliberately. And then always observe wildlife from a distance. So if you see a snake, if you see a black bear, if you see a raccoon, or you see a sea turtle, you always want to observe them from a distance. Some of these animals could have protections that are federally enforced, and you don't want to get in trouble. You also want to avoid any encounter with them because you could get injured or harmed, or you could harm or injure them. So it's important to just observe wildlife from a distance. And then on here, you can see my turtle here has a 6-pack ring on it. So another way that we can help and live with wildlife is to recycle. We can also cut our 6-pack rings up. You never want to cut them up in small pieces because then they become edible, and we don't want to have them ingest small pieces of plastic. But if you cut them, keep it in one piece, and you cut the holes so that the animal can't get its head through or can't get its little flipper through. I've seen 6-pack rings on raccoons, cans of food that you throw away or on the ground. They can get their head stuck in. They're trying to get the food inside the can, or they encounter a 6-pack ring and they get their little paw or their head. Beaks from birds can get stuck in these, and then that causes them not to be able to eat, which could cause them to die. So we definitely want to cut up our 6-pack rings, recycle as much as we can to help wildlife live in harmony with humans. And it's incredibly important, and it's incredibly kind to live with wildlife and learn to live with them harmoniously. So these are just a few things, a few suggestions on how we can be better stewards to the planet, better stewards to our wildlife friends. And we will be posting more videos about this. So follow us here on Be Kind TV, and check us out and learn more about who Epic Outreach is at epicoutreach.org. And we thank you for joining us today and learning to live with wildlife. And Winnie says, thank you for giving her, Winnie, come here. Winnie, come here, look, let everybody see you in your little, in your little hat, in your little jellyfish hat. She's a jellyfish today. Thank you everyone for joining, and we look forward to seeing you on another episode of Be Kind TV. All right, say bye, Winnie. Bye. Thanks everyone.